Testing out live. What's up? Waiting for people to join. Let's see if anybody joins. I see peeps joining in. What's up? Hey guys, what's up guys? I'm checking out live for the first time, so waiting for folks to join in. What's up? Hey guys, thanks for joining in. Everybody, hey guys, thanks for joining in on the lives. Thanks for getting, I appreciate, yeah, advice during the Laker games. When we get fans, I'll be back. Next year, when we get fans, I will be back. Hey guys, thanks for joining in on the live. I did a live talk the other day, and it was interesting because I don't do lives. I've never done a live. I don't know. It's not something that I did, but I did a Zoom live talk on Tuesday, and I loved the interaction that I had with folks. So I'm gonna be setting up. I'm gonna be doing lives on YouTube like every Tuesday, 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then I'm gonna be doing a virtual meetup on Zoom that I'm gonna email out to everybody that you can join for free. And basically join. It'll be like a cool meetup where a bunch of designers, we just talk and just answer questions. So it'll be really cool. So look out for that. If you guys have any questions for me, feel free to ask me any questions. I'm on my phone, so I don't even know. By the way, I'm going to be setting up my lives on my PC, where I'm going to be able to see the chats and all that stuff. And also, I was hoping, it's not an easy way to do YouTube lives, or at least I don't know, to do YouTube lives and actually share my screen. So one of the things that I'm gonna do, I do have a Twitter, at MLWebco. Jordan, you said, do I have a Twitter? At MLWebco. Check it out. But one of the things that I want to do with my YouTube lives is I want to have a live and have my digital whiteboard available so I can explain things and jot down on the whiteboard. And then also just take questions, answer questions, kind of like a Q&A. Like ask Mike, ask me anything, and we'll just kind of vibe off of different topics, stuff that's in the industry. So let me see. Let me just check to see how I look for messages. Okay, now I just pulled up the messages. Cool. Kind of disagree with what? I like this topic. Kind of disagree with UX is common sense. I think Amir mentioned that. What's up, Joe? Joe, you my guy, man. You're always on my Twitter. I love the fact that you hang around. We got to chat one day. So I'm on this kick. UX design is common sense. I appreciate that, Amir. Joe, definitely, we'll hook up one of these days. Over the next few days, we'll connect, and I'll give you my contact, and we'll just hook up on Zoom and we'll chat. But so hear me out. One of the things about UX design is common sense, and I know that particular topic is controversial. I know, and that's the reason why I'm on this kick. But people need to hear this. what I mean by common UX design is common sense, and why that phrase is provocative is um, because UX design, the actual discipline of UX, is a real discipline that people pay a lot of money for. They pay a lot of money to learn human computer interaction. And by me saying UX is common sense, it's a direct hit at those professionals. And I totally understand that. The reason why I say that is because the reason why I say that is because like that UX is common sense is because in my 20 years of being around design and interacting with folks that have master degrees in human computer interaction, PhDs in UX, in human computer interaction, the stuff that we do day to day, I was like a student. As I grew in this career, I was like a student, and I would sort of wait to see if I could learn something different from somebody who was self-taught and just uses basic common sense, problem solving, critical thinking throughout trying to solve a problem, trying to solve design problems. I would wait to see if there was something different that I could learn, because they've gone to school, they paid the 100K, the 150K, 200K to get their master's and PhD, and I would learn. Now they would use big words. I remember using the word, someone using the word cognitive load, which is basically, you know, me coming from the streets, I don't know big terms. So when I would hear the word cognitive load, this one guy had a PhD, and I look it up, and basically cognitive load is basically when somebody enters an application, they're overwhelmed and they don't know exactly what to do. To me, I was already solving for that without even knowing what the word cognitive load ever meant. I knew when a user came into a particular app, a page, I knew that I needed, as a designer, I needed to design for like a heuristic approach. I needed to have something there as a primary action for them to take. And so whether I did that with the background color on the header, whether I did it with separating certain call to actions, like for example, when I would start designing, I would design and I would have like 5 buttons. They would all be the same primary action. Like hypothetically, let's just say a blue button. You have blue buttons on a page, 5 blue buttons. They're all primary. So then it made sense to me, like, okay, well, make one of them primary and make the other one secondary. So the secondary ones would have, let's say, an outline of a blue line, and it would be like a white transparent button. Does that make sense? So there's only one button on the page. So it would limit the cognitive load of the user. Long story short, these are examples after examples after examples after examples after examples that I could it became common sense to me that, hey, I didn't have to go to school to learn that cognitive load is a bad thing. We knew it. When somebody goes to an app, when you go to when you go on a plane, a dashboard, an airplane, it's cognitive load, right? There's no way around that because they need all those gadgets. So it takes you months, if not years, to learn the dashboard of an airplane. So it's not common sense to learn how to fly a plane, obviously. But so the point here is this: UX. My belief is UX is common sense. Getting it right is common sense, meaning you're not going to always get it right the first time. If somebody was on Twitter was just trying to debate me about this, and I actually want to bring him on, I think we should debate. And I was agreeing with everything he was saying. He was kind of disagreeing with the common sense thing. And the one thing that that I was saying was this, and he was saying that I was saying visual design is the most important skill for us designers. Visual design. And I'll tell you why. Because visual design is a hard skill. I'm not a good designer even after 20 years. I'm a good designer, I'm not a great designer. I'm not naturally a great visual designer. I had to work really hard at it. And then I actually uh, I had to just learn. And I talk about copying, stealing, mimicking from other top designers to improve your design skills. That's what I do, and that's what I teach. And you have to do that to get better. You have to kind of like throw away your. Long story short is visual design is the most important skill. I'll tell you why. Because without visual design, without visual design, the recruiters and the hiring managers won't get that sexy appeal to actually call you. So if you can wow them on your portfolios with great visual design, then we could all learn the common sense approach and the people skills and the soft skills that will allow us to produce great experiences, if you know what I mean. Trust me, there will be some companies that only focus on UX, and because if you don't have a lot of, like one day I got a call from, or some recruiter hit me up and was like, you don't have a lot of UX stuff on your portfolio. And I was like, I'm an expert in UX. What are you talking about? They're like, you don't have them. I'm like, okay, fine. Long story short, if it stops me from getting a job that I don't have UX stuff on my portfolio, common sense tells me to apply UX jargon on my portfolio so that I can land the job. But I know once I land the job, I know everything else is common sense. We're not going to be doing customer journeys on a daily basis. We're not going to be doing sticky notes in a whiteboard on a regular basis. We're not going to be doing that type of stuff on a regular basis. What we're going to be doing is pushing out visual designs, UI designs, and working with developers to get those things out. Working in an agile sprint environment and working with your developers and cultivating a good experience amongst your product owners, your developers, your stakeholders, etc. I love all these questions coming in, these comments and stuff like that. Let me see. So let me read this one. It says, when you say visual designer in UX, do you mean like someone being able to design a page layout, call to action, and buttons? Yes. Yes. When I say visual UI design, I'm saying getting really good at designing interfaces. That to me is the most important skill as a UX designer. Now, the UX part is important, it's just the common sense part. Amir says, Amir, I want to comment. Okay, science is not enough to both matters. So here's why common sense, or here's why UX is common sense. Even though you can think of it as a science and think of it, hey, if you have multiple methods of testing users, of problems, like doing a lot of stuff up front, a lot of the UX methods, like you meet with users, that's just common sense to me. Meeting with users to understand how they use an application so that you can sort of identify their pain points and improve on that. That's not science to me, that's just common sense. Now, you can call it science and things like that, but the point here is you can put a lot of methods in place and try to get the right experience. Yes, you will get a good experience, but there will always be that need to study and monitor users and hear and find out their pain points, even when you've done your due diligence with all those methods and principles. It's always going to be that case. It's always going to be that case. That case. And And so with that, when I think of it as common sense, I can go into a product team and I know that, hey, I don't even have to do any testing. I can monitor. I know, like if I had the chance to monitor a user using a particular application, I know I can improve it. But I could look at an application, hear from someone, and understand that product, design it, and get 80% there. Meaning, I know that I'm not going to disrupt things that's just sort of common, and I'm going to improve on the low-hanging fruit, but I digress. Any advice for attending Zoom assignment? A Zoom assessment. Okay, so any advice for, so someone's asking any advice, they have a Zoom call. I would assume it's an interview and you have a Zoom call. Yes, the advice that I have for if you have a Zoom call, you have an interview, you have an assessment coming up, one is just, I think number one, always write what I consider an elevator pitch for each of your projects. Let's say you have 3 projects, just do an elevator pitch. It's a 1 or 2 sentence that you can say, hey, this is, for example, I did an app, a personal project for a real estate business app. So basically I would say, I would say my elevator pitch and then I would go into just casually talking about the screens that I'm on. So basically I would say like, this is an app I did, this is a real estate business app that I designed to improve, to allow realtors, to give realtors a one-in-one or an all-in-one solution to manage their day-to-day. So I would kind of first perfect my elevator pitch for each 3 of my, like if I had 3 projects, make sure you have an elevator pitch and memorize that and make sure that when you say it with confidence. Now, the part about going into your site, it can just be a casual thing. So once you say your elevator pitch and you start just saying, hey, this screen is the dashboard, this screen is the contact page, this screen is a calendar, you know, and things like that, they are going to then chime in and ask you questions, you know, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And you'll just have, you know, your answers for it. And you can always say, you know, I put forth my best guess, but obviously in a real world situation, I would launch this as an MVP, monitor, understand the requirements and things like that, all those different things. Let me read some of these questions. I'm on my iPhone, so I'm just scrolling. So someone said, everybody wants to become a UX designer. There's a lot of supply and less demand, you know, if you compare. Yes, designers can become, us designers, we can become commodities, so to speak. But so it's up to us to try to differentiate ourselves continuously. One of these things I said recently was that personal branding is still at a very low, it's still very low in terms of like personal branding to me and what I see from designers is not a commodity yet. It's still very early. So anybody that can brand themselves personally, like on Twitter or on Dribble and continue to write articles and do different things, you're going to always stand out. You're going to always stand out. And I think you can just continue to push that envelope of branding yourself and things like that. This is Mike. Mike, touching up on the work you've done in the past, have you ever had any experience working with large companies? And if so, what was it like? How was the culture? Yes, I worked at large companies. ADP, a lot of large companies, ADP, Yahoo, and the culture is I actually like large companies. I like small companies too. Last company I worked for was it was an insure tech company. It was a small incubator. It was a 1,500 person company. this one company, insurance company, paid me the most. By the way, they paid me the most out of all the companies that I've been with, and but it was very boring. After a year, it was an incubator. I was building a small little online insurance app for a workers' comp thing, but they paid me a lot of money. It was like a nice package, but yeah, ADP was huge. ADP is huge, and large companies to me is great. I'll tell you why large companies for me personally were great, because you could get in at 10 or whatever, 9 on a call. You could leave by 4:30. And if you have kids, you want to have a secondary life, like you want like work-life balance, big companies were always great to me. is a well-oiled machine. There was nothing I could do on a daily basis that would impact their revenue. Um, um, I like when people don't agree with me over here. But no, there was nothing I could do personally on a big company to impact their revenue like daily. So in a sense, you had long opportunities to just kind of like coast in that company. And so for me, I've always had a side hustle. I've always had one foot out the door in every company I've been with, because I'm just very entrepreneurial that way. I've always had one foot out the door, and big companies actually worked for me in that aspect. I would leave and coach my son in baseball. I would go home, do YouTube videos, and work on different things. So, you know, that's why big companies are great. Let me read this one. Will, you said, I personally don't agree with the approach to UX design. No two places have the same or even similar process. Homogenized? I don't even know what, or homogenized. I don't know what that word means. I'm not that smart. But maybe you agree with me. Hey, Mike, what do you think would be the post-pandemic situation for UX? Would that have any impact on it? I think for us as designers, the post-pandemic, I think it's going to benefit us, because I think more companies will go online. And at the start of this pandemic thing, so I left this company that I working with in 2000 in October of last year. I left that company, and I do a lot of side stuff with my wife. Her real estate business took off, and so I do a lot of stuff with her. And so I was managing that, and then I started contracting with another company called Global Logic. But I remember leaving that company, and I was telling my wife, I missed going into the office. For some reason, I missed people, going into and interacting with people. But now I gotten used to Zoom calls and doing stuff at home and having the ability to work from home. And so I think for us designers, more companies are going online. And I think a lot of you already love working from home. I was like the weird one that loved driving like 45 minutes. I don't know why because my 45-minute drive, I would listen to, I like listen to podcasts and like motivational books and stuff. And so I would send my kids off to school, and I would take a nice 45, 50-minute drive to work, and windows rolled up, and just listening to like Napoleon Hill, like just getting good energy. And so yeah, and so I miss that. Now now I actually like working from home and the Zoom thing. So I think the post-pandemic stuff, nothing will change in my opinion. Nothing will change for UX designers. Businesses will still have SaaS products. Companies will still be pushing out apps. All the apps and things, even more so, there will be a call for more UX designers as more things go back online and more people are online. So you got more consumers, more people, and more things being done digitally on phones and desktops. So that's a call for us UX designers to have more jobs and more opportunities out there. So if anything, this COVID thing is going to help UI designers, developers, UX designers, product designers, everybody in the digital space. If you have anything to do with tech, this COVID thing is going to benefit all of us. right now, in my opinion, it's a very uneasy time because companies, they don't know how, once they have to figure out, they might have to cut some fat, they might have to figure out, okay, this is the way that we have to approach things in the future. And so they will adjust. But once they adjust, every more companies will be going online, more companies will be then adding more resources and more investment to their online infrastructure, and that will lead to a boost in increase in hiring and an increase in things like that. Trust me, next year this time, I think after the election, things will die down because a lot of this stuff is very political. But after the election, after a president is solidified, November, around January, February of next year, things will start to kind of simmer down, and companies will know where things exist in this COVID culture. We would have experienced it for a year. People would have figured out, okay, this is what we're going to do for the next 2 years, and so I look right now. It's not a great time because companies are pausing. Companies are like, well, the government don't allow us to hire or bring people in, so I don't know. I'm going to cut our cost. So they having to adjust, their products and stuff like that. But once that settles in, that's why I say take this opportunity. All designers should take this opportunity to grind and re-up in their archive, work on personal projects, work on your skills. If you don't know Figma, learn Figma. If you don't know Sketch, learn Sketch. If you have time, work on your personal projects, build personal projects. One little nugget I gave today on one video I posted to my LinkedIn. All of us, we should be building personal projects. We should be building personal projects around the infotech or the fintech, medtech, edtech, space. So if you know the fancy terminology, fintech, insurtech, or whatever, do a Google search. I don't know the exact phrase and name of this, but there's about 15 major categories with this fancy, quote unquote, like industry term: insurtech, med tech, that's like medical technology, insurance. There's about 15 categories. Find those categories, and I would be building personal projects around these categories. That is going to prepare you, in my opinion, and put you in a great position for the future, because these industry terms, these things are here to stay. They've been around for several years, but they're going to continue to grow. And I think if you have some concept of these industries and you build some projects around that, it's going to definitely benefit all of you if we did that as designers. Let me see some of these questions. Yeah, I appreciate you guys chiming in and stuff. Hey, Mike, love your content. What do you think about designers who can code? And if you have any language, if you have a language that you love coding in. I'm a dinosaur designer, so I know HTML, CSS very well, like very proficient, where I can talk with front-end developers and actually show them things when some junior front-end developers don't know. Because a lot of developers that I've worked with, kind of weirdly, they are more heavily on the back end. They're more experienced on the back end, let alone not so much on the front end. But I personally know HTML, CSS. This is beneficial. This is just real honesty. This is beneficial for like when you're in a startup environment. When you can code and design, you're very valuable in a startup, small team environment. I'm talking 5-person team. I was at this company working with an InsurTech product, And I concepted up the designs, the UX, all that stuff. And I also used Webflow to code the front end of this app, export the HTML, CSS, and supply it to my backend developers and some front end, some backend developers who knew a little bit about front end, but I was the main front end developer. So I was invaluable to that company until, you know, I got bored and left, but it was beneficial for me there. But in a bigger company like ADP, I didn't touch any code. If you're a designer, you know, working at like, I guess Google appreciates designers who can code a little bit, but honestly, for most of the UX jobs that I've had, I didn't code. I would always have a friend and developer that I worked with. Like we sat next to each other, and they were the ones doing the coding. They knew all the frameworks and stuff, and I was just the designer. So the answer to that is it's gonna always benefit you for like personally. You're gonna be able to build your own stuff in the long run, and you're gonna be really valuable to, yeah, Webflow. You're gonna be really valuable to smaller companies. Yeah, someone said companies I heard from put their projects on hold or canceled them. Of course, because of the COVID thing, this is the most uncertain times we've ever been in. So even if I had like, let's say I had $20 million and I was investing in bringing people on, and I had a small company, I would wait. I would wait because I'm like, okay, we're just gonna get by right now. We're gonna see what happens after this election and see when things. But trust me, if I'm a business owner, when the next president comes into play, guaranteed this COVID thing will slowly run its course and just become the flu that we now know of it called COVID, and it will just become the flu year over year. COVID's not going anywhere, in my opinion. It's just going to become the flu, and people are going to have to learn to deal with it, just like we do influenza. And you're going to have people come into jobs giving you shots and vaccines, and some will take the vaccine, some won't, but I don't think the COVID thing is going anywhere. Heck, when this COVID thing first started, I actually did a search. People are still dying from SARS, which was 2009 virus, and you know, that's been around for 10 plus years. And so the vaccine will slow it down, and people, you know, more cures will slow it down. But trust me, companies are on hold right now, but they will be back. Says Mike, I recently saw your video on resume tips. Could you elaborate a bit more on that topic? How would one add personal projects on their resume as experience? So that's Joe. Hey Joe, so what I would do is this. So let's just say you worked at Acme Company, McDonald's, whatever, hypothetically. But you don't have that, let's say you don't necessarily have experience working as a designer for a company. What I would do, but I would say let's just say hypothetically, you've been like just doing tutorials and stuff over the last 2 years. Okay? Excuse me. What I would do is put your name at the top. That's your latest job. And I would treat it as like you're a freelancer. But in my video, I use the term consultant instead of freelancer because, so you put your name, Mike Locke, at the top, and I would do comma, UX consultant. Now it looks like you've been working in at least in the industry for a little bit. They don't know if you've worked with somebody personally one-on-one, if you worked with a local small business or whoever. It just looks better to me than freelancer because everybody puts freelancer. But do UX consultant. Just say you're a UX consultant. You're willing to work with people. You basically, when they ask you, what have you done? I've been freelancing with people. Long story short is, under that name, Mike Locke, UX consultant, that would be your latest job from 2018 to present. And in the bullet points, you know, where you put all the stuff you've done for that company, That's where I would then get creative and start adding things that I've done, courses that I've completed, personal projects that I've completed. You basically will have, think of like a long list. The bullet points could be like 20 deep, and they could be very extensive in terms of like the explanations of different things. That's where I would put all your personal projects. You can get creative in the wording. You can say like, completed 6 months of MLUX Academy where I've learned problem solving, visual design, you know, go through all my videos and basically just the titles of them, just you learn all these different things. UX design, where I've improved my skills on UX design principles and methods. All these different things. Where we've included wireframing and produced personal projects on all these different things. So now you would get creative in your wording. That's where in that video I talked about copywriting, and I'm not a good copywriter, but in this Mike Locke experience, you put bullet points of everything that you've done. If you've gone through a workshop, if you went through a virtual meetup on UX, I would add that in there. A bunch of different things. Get creative in that area is where it's only going to, whatever you say there only adds value. It adds value to you as a designer rather than having nothing there. Think about it. Let's just say you didn't have anything there and you applying for a job. I would rather see somebody that has Mike Locke, UX consultant, and have a bunch of stuff. I went to this conference, I attended this, I attended that. And I'm like, damn, this dude's been doing this stuff for 3 years and went to all this. They obviously know a little bit about something. You top that with a portfolio that has, let's just say, hypothetically, let's say you have 3 strong projects, good visual design. That's why I say visual design is important, because now the visual design is going to be the eye candy. I look at Joe, I look at your resume or your portfolio, like, wow, you got 3 nice strong projects. Your visual design is tight. And then he went to a conference here. He did a workshop on lean UX, where he did this. He went to another workshop where he did this. Like, damn. He looks like he's somebody I would at least want to talk to. You get it? So that's what a designer can do when you have never worked for a company. That's how you can at least prepare yourself and get yourself in a great situation to at least get the call, to at least get a chance of a phone interview, to at least get someone, and that's all we can ask for. And at that point, you do your best, and you're just like everybody else. You're going to interviews, and sometimes you're going to get rejected a lot. Like, everybody gets rejected. I get rejected. We all get rejected. That's just life. Top actors get rejected all the time, and so they just got to, I think somebody said, I was watching some person said, like, I think it was U2, Bruce Springsteen or somebody, like 100 acts he got rejected to, or some actor, some favorite, 100 times he got rejected until he hit, and he's like a freaking top actor right now, like, or whatever, back, when they were making movies before the COVID thing, but you get my point. So we all get rejected, but we all have to prepare. We all can just keep fighting to improve our stuff and try to get better, as we go. Hey, this is cool, man. Hey, by the way, this is cool. I thank you guys for chiming in. I'll still be doing this, but a little heads up. So I'm going to be doing a live. This is my first time doing a live, by the way. It took me a long time to do a live. I don't know why, but I'm going to be doing lives. I'm going to post it up on my YouTube, on my header, every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to do a YouTube live like this, and we're going to vibe. And I'm going to be on my computer, and I'll be answering questions. and going through. On my phone, I can't really see the questions that well, but I'm going to be answering questions and just talking about these topics, and we're just going to be vibing. And then on Thursdays, I'm going to invite everybody to a virtual meetup, via Zoom. So you're welcome, Joe. But I will invite everybody to a Zoom meetup. I'm gonna host it. You guys are all welcome to join. And basically, it's gonna be like this. It's gonna be like, think of a bunch of designers just going to a conference room, and we just start asking each other questions, and we start, So I'm gonna be hosting it, and then I'm gonna take questions, and uh, people will be able to ask questions, and we just vibe and we learn from each other. And it's going to be from on Thursdays 6 to 7 p.m. I'm going to do the Tuesday lives on YouTube from 6 to 7 p.m. answering questions like this. Obviously on YouTube lives you can't really like ask questions via video, but the Zoom meetings you'll be able to ask questions and stuff like that, and we'll be able to talk. You'll be able to show your face and all that stuff if you want, and we'll be able to chat, and that's gonna be dope. So I'm gonna try to do that like basically every week. Trust me, it's gonna do that every, and I think it's gonna be really fun. I think we're gonna learn a lot, and I think that's gonna be a vibe. I mean, that's gonna be cool because I actually I met this guy Scott Asai on Twitter. We're both Laker fans, and he invited me to do this talk on General Assembly on Tuesday, and I was like, sure. Like he does like these live talks, and he's super smart, on leadership and soft skills. And so I did the talk, and I didn't realize how fun it was when we got to the Q&A. And like I always watch guys like Gary Vee, do lives and ask questions and stuff like that, but when I'm able to ask questions and we can chat back and forth, that was pretty dope. And so I'm like, I gotta do this. So, why not? I appreciate all you guys. For the comments, the likes, chiming in. I'm reading them all right now. Appreciate everybody. Let me see. Since most contractors are considered consultants supplied by a recruiting company, do you think it's wise to use that experience as a foundation for starting your own UX consulting business? Will said that. Since most contractors are considered consultants supplied by recruiting company, do you think it is wise to use that experience as a foundation for starting your own UX consulting business? For sure. Will, you're super smart, man. We gotta chat. You've been using big words, man. You're confusing me, but yeah, you got the right mindset. Of course, anything. If you're asking like, yeah, I mean, but if you're thinking about starting your own consulting business, I mean, that's dope. I mean, I wouldn't like. I always wanted to do that. if I had the opportunity to like work with different companies and stuff like that. I actually worked for a company a while back where the guy was a consultant, and those consultants, you bill a lot, and it's dope. But it's just like in-house workers. He was always there at the office, and but he had his own business, but he was still there. By the way, here's another topic for us. Love from Nigeria. Shout outs. I love you too, man. So many people across the world. I love that. Shout out to all you guys. Here's a topic. Maybe for another one. 1 second. Hey, press. Call Layla and tell her I'll be there in like 10 minutes, okay? I'm doing a YouTube live. My daughter's calling me. I gotta go pick her up. Hey, but here's a topic for another video. Getting a job is better than freelance. Getting a job is better than freelance. Okay? I want you guys to hear this. Getting a job, having a 9 to 5 job is better than working freelance. Now, this is a topic, it's a very controversial topic because as designers, it's in our soul. It's in our soul. All right. Sorry about that. I was texting my daughter. But it's in our soul to work for ourselves. Okay? But freelance it's much easier to work for a company. It's much more rewarding financially to work for a company that you could never do freelance. I'll give you an example. Freelance, you will always be servicing. All right? The minute you stop working, you stop making money. Not only that, for example, let's just take my last company that I worked with. I was making over 100, like 157K base, okay? Now this is me, old me, been in the game for a long time, so not everyone makes 57K base, plus benefits, plus vacation time, plus all that stuff. Almost up to probably 190K package when you add the medical, vacation time, blah, 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 okay? I got to that company at 9 a.m. in the morning. I would have coffee. We would chat a little bit. I did about an hour and a half worth of work. No lie. Go to lunch and get ready to go home after that. By 4:30, by 4 o'clock p.m., somebody got the Lakers score. By 4 o'clock p.m., people were leaving the office. I was calling my wife at 4:15. Hey, what do you want to do for dinner? You want to pick something up? I was out of that office by 4:40 p.m. Having done an hour and a half worth of real work. Yes, it's a 9 to 5. You could never do that working freelance and make that amount of money. So when somebody says, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do freelance on the side. Do freelance on the side. But don't do freelance instead of a full-time job. Trust me, I'm keeping it 100% real. Make your money. Land a corporate job. Land a corporate job. Trust me, you cannot make that money working those hours. And I'm saying this 100% real. And this is facts. This is 100% true. And I'll tell you guys something. My wife's real estate business, and this is 100% real. And I'm not saying this to brag or anything. My wife's real estate business took off. Like she closed like 14 deals last month. Okay? Now, on the average of commissions, you do the math. Anywhere from 8K to 18K per commission on each home. But for her to get to where she is today, she's up to 230. She could never. Real estate is probably the only business or sales or something where you have big commissions, big margin commissions. But freelance and web design or design, hell no. You could never make that money. So those people anybody that's trying to teach you, hey, do a freelance gig, do the gig, but do it because you're doing it on the side. I always did it on the side. I had a job and I always did freelance on the side. We should all be doing that. But don't do freelance. Don't think freelance is a career. Don't think freelance is a career. It's not. And I'll speak more on this, but that's real. Company thinks freelance is illegal. I mean, hey, Don't tell them. Don't tell them. Hey, so get this, guys. This is fun. I want to be back online. I'm gonna end it here, but I'm gonna go pick up my. He says, Mike, what if you don't want to slave for a company? Hey, we all have that problem. That's just work. But I'll talk about that. Yes, we don't want to slave for a company. That's why we got to do other stuff. Um, but I appreciate all you guys. Listen, I got to go pick up my daughter. I'll probably be back online because this was fun. I love chatting. I'll be doing more of this. All right. Hey, stay up, and we'll talk in a little bit. All right, peace.